afternoon, everyone. I'm Performance Coach Anuradha, and I'm here today to introduce you to all the speakers and make this worthwhile for all of you. So I'm here to welcome you to the 10th edition of TiECON Chandigarh 2025. Let us all thrive together and empower together. Now, TiECON is an exciting networking event focused on the cutting-edge fields of AI and cybersecurity. Today, we gather not just as professionals, but also as innovators, as thought leaders, poised to shape the future. We explore how AI is transforming industries and the crucial role cybersecurity plays in protecting our advancements. Let's engage, collaborate, and inspire one another as we navigate these dynamic landscapes. Thank you for being here, and let's have a big round of applause for all of you. We all know in today's digital world, cyber threats are evolving faster than ever before. Is your business secure? Are you prepared to withstand and recover from any cyber attacks? Back in my days, I have been, since 21 years, I have been in IT as an HR, and once there was, not once, actually multiple times there were cyber attacks. Our own website was hacked. So this happens. Can I have a raise of hand who are from IT background here? Saurabh sir, you can have a look. So all, right? And I think in today's world, if somebody says I am not in IT, it is a comedy, it is mockery. Because anybody who has a business is on the internet. Anybody who is running a business or who is doing a business, an employee, an entrepreneur, everybody needs internet, web to actually reach out to masses globally. Right? So, now we have an exclusive masterclass on cybersecurity resilience by our esteemed speaker, Mr. Saurabh Chamotra. Mr. Saurabh Chamotra, he is a scientist and joint director at CDAC. Now today what we are going to learn, how to build a robust cybersecurity strategy. 2. Proactive measures to prevent cyber attacks. Incident response and recovery-based best practices. Insider tips from top security experts. So let us all join our hands to welcome Mr. Saurabh.
I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, in today's talk, I'll be, as I told that I will be sharing some of my experiences, on the cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, it's very difficult to describe or to, consolidate this area into 1 hour class. But still, I try to share my experiences and see that, it is useful for you into your day-to-day lives. My talk will be primarily focused on, the incidents that have been, contemporary. Like, when we talk about, AI and we talk about cybersecurity, how, AI is actually, affecting the cybersecurity. Is it a boon or a curse to cybersecurity professionals? But whatever I say, one fact, this I would like to share with you is this is the best time for people to work in cybersecurity, because no time during this all my journey in cybersecurity I have seen the requirement of people, the shortage of the people in this area, and the way the technology is getting into our day-to-day lives. This area needs professionals who can address the challenges of the current cyber situational this thing. So starting with this presentation, this will be the agenda of my talk. I'll start with introduction on cyber resilience, because I was told that I have to speak on cyber resilience. Then what is the difference between cyber resilience and cyber security? Then some real life incidents that will be very interesting, just to try to connect how these advancements in cybersecurity, advancements in IT is actually making the job of cybersecurity professional difficult by these some of the experiences that I would like to share. Then the key elements of cyber resilience. When you talk about cyber resilience, what does it mean? See, as a scientist, I can talk on lots of technical stuff that can go beyond your capability to articulate the things. But I deliberately try to keep it simple, so that and try to connect it to the things that you daily use. So protect, and in case any time of any point in time, if you feel that you need more depth into that, you can have one-to-one interaction. I can give you more details about it. Either it is the use of generative AI in cybersecurity, or either it is the use of latest detection mechanisms like deception and all that. We can have a very elaborative information I can provide you on that. Then protecting yourself. That is the most important thing. I have kept this part deliberately because if I talk about all the problems that we are having in the cybersecurity, make you afraid of the things that are coming in the future, it doesn't make any sense until or unless I suggest you something. So very interesting thing, I have actually taken an example of something that we use very universally, each of us, that is the email. How we can protect our email, what are the various threats. So that I will see, because one of the key propagation vector that is being used by attackers or advanced persistent threat is the email to take a breach, to take the foothold inside the organization. So that actually I tried to, because I feel that it is the weakest link in the chain. Okay? And then we can end up with interactive discussions where you can ask me on some of the topics that you find interesting. So with that I would like to share my talk, start my talk. So basically, when we talk about cyber resilience and cyber security, cybersecurity is looking for locking your doors to prevent the break-in. Utilize the best state-of-art security mechanisms, best firewalls, best antivirus tools, and best thing. And you believe that now we are secure. But when we talk about cyber resilience, it is something like, what if these things fail? What is the plan of action? How you will handle an incident? So this is a difference, between cyber security and cyber resilience, and why it matters. When we talk about why this thing matters for us, there are certain cases. Like these are very, I have handpicked some of the instances that you can also be, benefited. Like this website, I have been pawned. How many of you have been known about this website? No. It's a very interesting website. If you have an email account, or if you have a, let's say, a phone number, or it also takes care of your passwords. Suppose I have a very specific password that I use multiple places, and I believe because it is a very private one. It has a starting letters of my wife, and then my brother-in-law, and then my father-in-law, and all those people in the family I have some taken. Very curatively I have created this password, and then you think that this is the best password, and it is never been wrong. You can go on this website, put your passwords, and it will tell you that how many websites have known this password. So it's a very interesting thing. If internet is available, I can show you a demo for that. But let's go with the flow, and you can check these things. So the question is that why we as a human being, we as an employee of an organization, we need to be concerned about our security thing. I'm a guy who works from 8 to 9 to 5, and why I should be bothered that my password is weak, or I'm not using, I'm just throwing away my email on any and every portal that I came across. Why I should do that? So these types of websites actually make you realize that you are not that secure as you believe. And you have already been hacked, and your passwords and your emails are already available on many portals that were hacked. Basically, it takes data from the dark web. Similarly, this was another website, in scam. Basically, this website, this portal, basically, it has a, it works it gives you a functionality to enumerate the publicly accessible CCTV cameras. It was also very unethical, but they are doing it. but they are doing it globally. They will find out the CCTV cameras, and they will enumerate which are freely accessible. That means when you go on this website, you can find, you say that Delhi, how many CCTV cameras I can access directly. They will give you the direct access to these CCTV cameras. That means now that is a breach of privacy. And why it happens? Reason one, like most of us, when we install a CCTV camera, we don't bother the security feature. It's all in the hands of the the guy, the technician who actually come and installs in our houses. And he just said that, you see, this is a very nice functionality. You can access your CCTV camera from your mobile phone, and this is the username password. Most of us don't change the default username passwords, and default for username password for most of the brands is available on the online, and you can easily crack them. So this website, they have done this thing. They can, you can directly go and see. This was actually live camera in Delhi, India. These are the snapshots. Somebody has installed a live camera, and I can access it from my system and see what is happening. So I mean, these are the things that actually make us, we think that we should be concerned about the security of individual. Not see, the chain is as strong as the weakest link. I always say this. Your organization is as strong as the last person in your working in your organizations. Okay, so that is why these type of things that actually we came across day-to-day life. Similarly, this is being used. This website like this person doesn't exist is used by most of the hackers to create the fake accounts, because it can generate using generative AI. It can generate the images of the people that don't exist. Okay, and then they used to create the fake profiles, and they chat with the people, sextortion is one of the keys, we are facing nowadays, Similarly, www.spoke.com, this is also a very nice, portal that actually gives you, it actually searches on all these 140, social media platforms. You just put your email address, you put your this thing, and it will give all the information. Even if it can tell you that who are your relatives. Who are your relatives that are available? Go and check this thing. They have a subscription-based service, but to some extent it is free also. So it tells you how many social networks you have, photos, online profiles, anybody, what is your digital footprint, And believe me, nowadays we actually deal with lots of law enforcement agencies that are very much concerned about their privacy when it comes to, because there are actors that are state sponsored, Chinese hackers, US hackers, they are trying to breach their security, and this is the first thing they actually they face. Most of the employees, they don't are not very aware about these security things, and they get hacked, and because of that the organization get hacked. Okay, so this was another thing, www.spoke.com. Then this was another search for I2P data leak public web. So this is also one of the, basically Intellex is a portal that provides you the details of any person, public and private, whatever. It is all about OSINT, basically regarding a person you want to track down. And then similarly, this is also very very frequently used. Basically, 11 Labs, basically it gives you this particular website gives you the feature to clone anybody's voice in real time. And I can generate any conversation. I can start any conversation by cloning your voice, and I can make you say anything and everything. So all these things, when it comes to social engineering, that is the most important propagation vector that is being used by attackers to get inside the organization. These are the things they use. And until and unless the employees of your organization are not aware about these type of things or the threats, that they are always prone. And if they are prone, your organization is always prone to these types of attacks. Some of the very interesting use cases where I'll share with you, where the attacker have used these types of technologies to create an impact, will be subsequently I'll be presenting, like this one. A real-life cyber incident lesson learned. Like Russian hackers hijacked the live TV broadcast to spread a fake news that NATO has joined us, started a war against India. So it was like streaming video. They have they have actually using deep fake, they created this kind of a fake news, and it was broadcasted on the Ukrainian TV. So see what is the this is something like misinformation, deception, all these things coming with the cybersecurity, making it very difficult for this. Similarly, this was an interesting, see, there's a ransomware attack on a car, because nowadays we are talking about cars that can, that are connected, that can be, you can control from remotely. Hacker remotely locked the driver inside, and he was asking for a ransomware. Until and unless you don't pay the ransomware, you will not be able to get out of your car. So I mean, hackers took control of it, and the Tesla Model X it was. And this was the most funniest one. I mean, this was the height of something. Like, a hacker took over the smart toilets, demanded ransom to flush. I mean, that was something like, it was happened in actually South Korea, Japan. Yeah, South Korea and Japan, and he was asking for the $50 Bitcoin. Until unless you won't pay, you won't be able to leave. I mean, yeah, these things, when we say that, okay, these things are become very prominent, and then there are technologies like ChatGPT, and our dependence upon ChatGPT is very much nowadays. If you see, somebody is asking, have you figured out that how AI will, impact our presence, our business? And he says that I'm using AI to actually figuring this out. That shows that how dependent, the employees of an organization are. We write our mails to it. You admit it or not, but we do that. Any report our boss asks us to prepare, we go to the ChatGPT. Any code you have to stuck somewhere, you go to the ChatGPT. Even I have seen like people sharing very very crucial and very information that should not be disclosed on ChatGPT, just to get work done quickly. So those things, without understanding that what will be the the impact and what will be the outcome of these type of things, people do these things. That makes that organization, vulnerable. And when we talk about ChatGPT, it's not that the attack, we are using it for our own benefit. Attackers are also using it. There is a language model that is not available online but available in dark web, that is called worm GPT. Using that, you can create worms or malwares at a very high speed. Now, what is the problem with this kind of a proposition? When you have a machine that can generate a malware at a higher speed, the effect is that most of the antiviruses that we use nowadays are signature based. Now, to people who don't understand that how an antivirus will work, antivirus has a database, let's say, of all the malware it can detect, and that database has a specific, let's say, a string that can, that is used to identify, let's say, a fingerprint of that malware that antivirus uses to actually identify that malware. So that fingerprint is created by the the experts that actually work in the antivirus companies. So whenever there is a zero-day malware outbreak, the antivirus companies do come up with a signature. But what if there is a machine that is creating those malwares? Definitely it will create malware at a higher speed than the experts can write signatures. That means that you are never gonna win this war of preventive detection, where you have the signature database, then only you can detect. So these are the outcomes that are very serious and very frightening also at the time, because we are fighting with somebody who we can't compete in this way. Similarly, this fraud GPT is a language model that has the capability to create social engineering mails. It can plan a fraud for any kind of a social engineering, this thing and all that. Now, question is that existing ChatGPT and other tools that we are using, don't they do have this kind of a capability? They do have, but then there are certain ethical checks that the creators of that language model has implemented that actually debarred it to us to use it for a malicious purpose. But then attacker comes with techniques that are called jailbreak techniques that you can use. You can go and find on the internet, you will find many jailbreak techniques that can make ChatGPT do things that it is actually not supposed to do. So I mean, these are the things that Warm GPT, Chat GPT, that actually make the things, the scenario very, 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 very complex, and something that we should be very concerned about. Now, these are all things that we come across into our day-to-day lives. But they are not very. They seems not to be very. Sounds not to be very life-threatening. But what if if the medical systems that we are today using, they are also getting they are also getting online, and we have nowadays robotic-based experiment, the operations being conducted, all these things. There are cases like this, like fake MRI scan. The Israeli company, they do have this capability to to generate a fake. They can hack a CT machine and make the patient believe that he has cancer. And similarly, the fake MRI scans, they can hack an MRI machine and manipulate the responses. Similarly, these are the manipulating the reports like indirectly affecting your perception about yourself. But there are more something that is more threatening. That is something like if somebody hacks your basically pacemakers. Pacemakers are the devices that are used for the cardiac people who have these heart problems. Basically, this device basically is used. So, and basically it works on it can be controlled through radio frequency, and people have shown that it could be hacked. US government specifically has issued an urgent warning to the hospitals, so that hacking of the pacemaker and giving somebody a heart attack may not happen. Similarly, hacker exploit the insulin pumps. Nowadays people say that we have devices that you can put on, specifically the people who have type 2 diabetes. They can put a device on their body, and it will consistently measure their sugar levels, and whenever required it will just ingest the right amount of insulin. But what if that device gets hacked and it injects a dangerous level of insulin in somebody's body? He instantly dies. So these are the things that actually makes us very frightened also most of the time, and also very concerned about the security aspects of the devices and technologies that we are using and getting into without thinking their repercussions. Then there are attacks on supply chains. Too much of attacks in these things. I have talked about that. Nowadays people say that we will apply security solutions in systems. We apply virus total, by antivirus, best antiviruses. But what if your this thing laptop already had an implanted chip? This happens in the SolarWind hack. Basically, they actually implanted a bug inside the system, so the supply chain was actually infected. So all these things, are something that actually, pointing out to a scenario that is, where we should be very concerned about the technologies that we are, very concerned about our exposure to the technologies. Similarly, something that I would like to share with all of you, because most of the time, we all use these things. Windows 10. How many of you know that there is something called telemetry? Okay. So telemetry basically is what for let's say you have an operating system Windows 10. It collects a lot of information from your working to actually what they claim is that we try to improve your user experience so that you may not have any this thing. But actually it's not like that. If you go, but what is there in the research, like Microsoft defines telemetry as a system data that is uploaded by the connected for basically user experience. But basically, but when it comes to the actual research, like basically if you see, Windows 8 was being banned and protected in China because it takes a lot of data from that. In fact, there is a device called Proton on your system that that captures after every 10 seconds it captures your voice and it sends it to Microsoft. And this is something like a purely breach of your privacy. Like according to the investment watch, Windows 10 transmit following data back to the company. Like it sends the text data on the keyboard, sent off every 30 minutes. It transmits anything you say in the microphone. It transmits transcript of the things you say while you are using Cotton. That's what I told. Then index of all the media files on your system. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, so much of information is being taken from you without of your consent, or I don't know, but normally we all go for the default settings, it becomes to an extent that it becomes so dangerous. That is one of the reasons China has banned Windows 8. You can't use Windows 8 in China. So what all these things, and it is very dangerous also. Somebody is, and why actually the question is why? Why these people are collecting so much of the data? Nowadays, if you have the data, you have everything. Data is the new oil. That's what people call. That is why any company and every company who is into the business of people, where they interact with the people or customers, they collect each and every bit of the data. And how they are using this data is very concerning. Well, so this is the current scenario. The question is that how we can, all these things you have, you will say that Saurabh, you have told us so many things, you have actually scared us about all these, new technologies. Then what is the outcome? How we can, be secured in this scenario. So, this is one thing. Like on the one side you have, this is the corner we have firewall, encryption, antivirus, software, everything. And the other side we have Dave. Dave is a human error. So basically, the best way to protect yourself is to be aware about these things. And what is the first point? Being to secure yourself is to find out your digital footprint. Each and every one of us sitting in this room is having a digital footprint that I call the digital life. Your presence on different portals, your emails, your let's say your phone numbers, your Aadhaar, your other types of accounts, all these things is a digital footprint you create, and how easily they are accessible, to the hackers is what makes you more vulnerable. Larger the footprint is, more vulnerable you will be. So there is something called personal hygiene. This is actually I convey to many organizations and many companies, and also I have been a speaker into many defense forums. I say that the first point to start, where securing your organization is making your employees digitally, this habit of digital hygiene embedded into your employees. So just like there is a personal hygiene where we know that we have to wash our hands, when we come out into the houses, every morning you brush your teeth, every evening before going to the bed you brush your teeth. So there are something called digital hygiene, like the devices that you use, you should know how to deal, how to be clean with them. When we talk about digital hygiene or cyber hygiene, these are some of the things like cyber hygiene at office space, cyber hygiene at public space, cyber hygiene at home, and personal cyber hygiene. These are 4 pillars on which your cyber hygiene you can display. Well, so when we talk about the cyber hygiene at the office space, the first thing is the email. Email is the I say email because throughout my experience auditing different organizations, working with different critical agencies, I have found that email is the one communication medium that is very universal. You have to have an email account in an organization to function optimally. So, mail could be deceptive. This is one thing, the emails that you receive, spear phishing emails, they could be fake. There is no such thing as free lunch, something you are getting, tell these things to your employees, if they are getting something free, just click here and you'll get a laptop or something, don't believe, Big Brother is watching, whatever you do, you go and surf on Google, you do, watching a video, you are creating a history, and people are watching that, and they are going to leverage that information, to either sell you new things, the things you don't need or something like that. The password management is very important. That one has to be very specific. I have shown you that site. I have been pawned. Go to your homes or wherever work spaces and see that how good your passwords are. You will actually realize the truth. Then where are the credentials stored on the system? This is very important. Nowadays, most of the hackers, what they do, they have credential stealing softwares or malware. So what they do, they will just, the malware will be dropped on your system, it will harvest all the credentials from your system, and then it use those credentials for, further propagating inside the organization. So it need not to hack the system. It will just, use the stolen credentials and do, whatever it wants to. Then always know what devices you have and where they are. This is one of the, key problem that most of the organizations nowadays face because of the legacy system they are having. Is it working? Am I audible in the last?
Yes.
Yes. So this is one of the organization, and all these things also opens opportunities for entrepreneurs. Like this problem, like what systems and what always know what devices you have and where they are. There are companies like Shodan, Senses, Zoomai who actually leverage this opportunity. What they do, their business model, they do have a they enumerate, they scan the internet, create a directory of all the devices they found, and they tell, so see, we have found these systems which are running these services and open ports. And this is what companies need. Even the hackers use these types of services. So these types of things leads to many opportunities also. Then air-gap system updates, be careful with USB storage devices. Don't just get a random USB from from somewhere and just plug into your organizational network, and it could be dangerous. And then cloud is volatile. That is most important. Nowadays as we are moving towards cloud, it has to be we have to closely see the security aspects of that. Then comes the the cyber hygiene at the public spaces, like watch your footprints, issue with with the personal services at the public networks. Normally, Railtel and different networks, open Wi-Fi networks, we do use without understanding the risks that are involved for those networks. You have to be very cautious while using open access points at different cafeterias or these things. Believe me, personally, I know some of the people who just go sit in a cafeteria, they will just run a tool, and they will have all the credit card numbers that were being swapped in that cafeteria area. It is very much possible. Okay. ATM skimming, yeah, and ATM jackpotting, rogue Wi-Fi access points. It's very easy to create. Open Bluetooth connections. Never download from this thing. Connect to these things. Then cyber hygiene at homes. That is also very important. Most of us are using ADSL routers. 80% of IoT devices are vulnerable to the wide range of attacks. This is a website called Rambus. You can go and find out smart homes, IoT devices, and their fake username passwords. Then don't leave your devices on default configuration. That is the most important thing that you should be very concerned about. That never go for a default username password for your CCTV camera or your ADSL router. ADSL routers are that we use for broadband connections that we at our homes. Then keep an eye on your devices, secure wireless networks, and who have the administrator account. That is very important. So all these things I told you about, a very comprehensive, a very on top of try to cover all these things in a very abstract way. Somehow, in one area I will go in more depth that I feel is very, very concerning, and is also very related to you, all you people. That is emails. It's not possible to cover all of them, but I'll cover the email part in more details. So the next talk, the part of my talk will be focusing on the email security. Okay, I'll just take a second. So if somebody asks me, see, Saurabh, I'm very concerned about the security of my organization, and one thing I want to focus on that could have, that can take care of 80% of my breaches. So I will tell him, go for your email. Okay. Because it is the weakest thing. And reason why, this is the reason. Like 97% of people around the world cannot identify a sophisticated phishing email. Now, what are these phishing emails? Well, phishing emails are the emails that have, that are, curated for making you believe that they are coming from a very legitimate source, and they ask you to do things that that actually solves their purpose. It could be clicking on a link, it could be transferring some money, or it could be downloading a file that actually has a malware inside. Okay, so it's very difficult. It is a fact, and I'm not just saying that 90%. These are sources Intel. The Intel do publish their threat reports every year, and this is based upon their survey that 90% of people are working in organization, they can't differentiate that is it a spear phishing email or an actual email coming from an administrator. Then 30% of phishing mails get opened by the targeted users, and 12% of those users click the malicious attachment or link. This is a very high success rate. Do you believe? Because if a hacker sends 100 emails and 12 of them actually get culminated into an attack, it's a very high success rate. And attackers are very happy to have this type of success rates. Okay. Then 95% of the attacks on the enterprise network are the result of successful spear phishing email. So that means that if you are taking care of your email security, 90% of the attacks that are currently happening on your organization will not be there. And 2020 email remains a primary targeting method for advanced attacks. According to a Semantic 2018 survey, 54.6% of emails is spams. Nowadays, I think so more than that, 90% is there. The number has increased considerably. Most popular malware disguise are, these are some of the attachments that you get, and most that has the high probability of being a spear phishing email. That is bill, invoice, email delivery failure, legal issue, law enforcement, scanned document, package deliveries. You must have noticed a pattern in all these subject matters of the email. Have anybody? All of them generates a sense of urgency among you. You can't ignore them. You can't somehow. You just see a bill invoice. You get an attachment which says that there is a bill invoice. Can you ignore it? You will definitely go and open it. Okay. Similarly, I'm toying or something. Okay. Then the legal and law enforcement. Like most of you getting an email that there is a legal notice. Can you avoid it? No. One of my work that I have published also is based upon detection of these types of emails based upon the sentiment they reflect. Okay. So these types of email, one of the very key something is that they always have a sentiment of urgency, a sense of urgency it will generate in you whenever you read them. So be cautious. Don't be आप अपना विवेक का प्रयोग करें और उसको देखें कि वो क्या है, and then you proceed. Now these are the threats from email that we are talking about. What actually because normally most of the small companies or SOHO environments that we call, they use Gmail and other email third-party email clients. So what is the ground report? Also there was a research from Hanghu and Gangwang conducted to end-to-end measure the 35 popular email providers. So these are the 3 points they try to consolidate their research. Most of the email providers, including Google and Yahoo, have necessary protocol to detect spoofing, but still allow forged emails to reach to the user inbox. Even if they know that it's a spoofed email, they will not stop it, because that will actually lead to a denial of service. Then once a forged email gets in, most of the email providers have warning for the user, particularly for the mobile. If you are using desktops, you will be able to see that this mail is not a legitimate mail. But if you are using a mobile device to access your email client, most of them will not show you that also. And few email providers, out of 35, 9 email providers have implemented visual security indicators. Rest, 24 don't have any indicators that this mail is spoofed. So this is one of the reasons that we all should be concerned if we are using these types of email service providers. He's a Ray Tomlinson. He's actually creator of the email. He actually created the email system, the mail system that we are using. I don't know why I put it, just to give some regard to him. We are using his product nowadays. It's a very universally used product. Anyways, now coming to these things, this class of emails that I was talking about, specifically we called it spear phishing email. These are some of the very, very popular instances like Operation Aurora, and all these things that we have seen in the past. I'll just skip through it. Some facts I already covered. So when it comes to security of the email, how we can secure? Will antivirus help? Will IDS will help? No, not at all. Do emails have a built-in security mechanism? Yes. These are the 3 security mechanisms that actually help, that are embedded. These are called the standards that are there, and I will show you how you can check them. Okay. So there are basically 3 standards, standard protocols, you can say. SPF, Sender Policy Framework, DKIML, Domain Key Identification Mail, and Domain-Based Messaging and Authentication. So these are the RFCs. RFCs are basically the standard, the standard number. They are which you can refer to go into more details. So basically nowadays, these are the 3 protocols that are there into the email business that are there to ensure that your email is not spoofed. We do all have seat belts in our cars. Just if we exclude the Chandigarh, this thing, in Punjab, hardly anybody wears it. Okay. So similar is the case with the email. We all have these 3 security measures. All the 35 clients, most of them don't apply all of them. So let's something I would like to show. You have all must be having the Gmail accounts. I hope so. So how you can see these three types of warnings in your email? An email you want to check if it is see, these are the 3 standards or 3 checks every mail has to ensure that it is a spoofed mail or not. DKIM, SPF, and DMARC. Okay, DKIM, SPF, and DMARC. Now, if you want to check this, I'm saying don't believe this just because I'm saying it. If you want to check it, how will you see? Go on your Gmail. There are 3 dots on the top. Click on it. Go on the show original, and it will show you this kind of a. So here is. Hope so. It's not. Sorry. It's not visible, I guess. So here you can see it's on the extreme, right. Yeah. SPF, DKIM, DMARC. So SPF means pass with IP address. DKIM pass, DMARC pass. That means that you should be rest assured that this mail is an authentic mail, and it is coming from the actually the domain or the owner from which it is claiming. Like this is the domain name. This is the domain. Travel mail make my trip. So basically, I can be assured that it is actually coming from Make My Trip and it is not a spoofed mail. So I can go ahead with it. Okay. So now we have learned that how we can, check for a spear phishing email. Hey, can you switch off this light? Anyways. So as we see, as I told you that we all have seat belts in our car, but hardly many in Chandigarh and Mohali, of course we do, but there are some states where people don't even know why they exist. No, it's true basically. So similarly, these DKIM, DMARC, these things they do exist, but how many of them stuck to them? So this is actually the real statistics. If you see. These are the email accounts, the email providers. Like Rediff email, how many of you use Rediff? Old timers must be using Rediff. Rediff is something that have nothing. They will not tell you DKIM, DMARC, and SPF. None of them. So I mean, yeah. So these standards shows that how secure these email. Anyways, all these things. This basically it's from the research of the same. Usenix paper was published in 2000. Yeah, the Hang Yu and Gang Wang, they published a paper in Usenix. Usenix is a very reputed conference in cybersecurity, in the field of cybersecurity, and a paper that get published there is have a high repute and very credible research. So basically, Rediff, Freemail HU and Rediff.mail.com, they don't have neither SPF nor DKIM, DMARC. Whereas these like checks for SPF, DKIM, but not DMARC. These are some of the mail providers that do have, and these are some of them like that do have all the 3. But the problem is still there in this. If you feel that if I'm using any of them, I can be reassured. But the problem with them is that they will just how do the email providers give you warning? Normally if you see Gmail, if you are using a web-based, if there is a spoofed mail, it will tell you it is a spoofed mail. If you are using a mobile phone and using a Gmail client, it will tell you it's a spoofed mail. But then there is a Proton mail that also tells mail.ru that it will on web it will tell, but on mobile it will not tell. So there is a quite this thing unbalanced this thing when it comes to email security provided by the these types of email service providers. And so be cautious. You can check, manually check how how to check these types of checks for that, and then you can take a better decision. So one thing I told, email is one of the most prominent propagation vector that is being used by the attacker nowadays. What else email can be used for? By just attacker can send you a spear phishing email, get money out of your account somehow. What else it can be used for? That is just all wrong communication, social engineering, all these things. These all things comes into that thing only. You can use emails to track people. Believe me. If you want somebody where that person is, and believe me, I work with law enforcement agencies. Lot of law enforcement agencies I work with, they do use these types of techniques to find out where that person is currently, in which country, where he is. I'll just briefly cover that part, okay? And I'll give you some tips to avoid one or two techniques, not all of them. Nobody can track. If law enforcement agencies want, they will not be able to. Very trivial ones, not a very the pro ones, but a very trivial one. See, email tracking. This is email tracking technology has been used for email masters. Nigerian, basically the technique I am going to talk about was started by Nigerian fraudsters, and it's a very simple technique. Analysis tracking data in standard services offered by. These are some of the how it basically begins. What they will do, they will just put a small dot image in the email that they will send to you. You will open that email, and that dot will actually load the image from a server, and your location will be actually tracked on that server. It's a very simple concept. You got? I hope so. The person who wants to track you, he will send an email to you that will have a small image. Actually, whenever the email is opened in your client, it loads the images from the server. So the moment that dot will not be visible to you. The moment that image loads onto your this client, it has to send a request to the server where that image is present, and that server will actually figure out that what is the time zone, what is the server, and all those things. He can track it to a good accuracy. At least country he can tell. These are some of the email tracking for Gmail users. If you want to track your friends, girlfriends, wives, anybody, you can see your friends. And these are some of them are they can provide you the paid services to track an email. They will. Now how can you bypass these things? Because we are on your side, I tell you. So easy way is you go on the same setting part, open the settings, and then there is this thing that actually says that ask before displaying the external images. You just click it. So what will happen? The next time you get this kind of an email, and the client will try to upload he will send a request. Before sending the request to the server, he will just ask that there is an external image that I want to load from the server. Should I do it or not? Normally these are some of the checks that you perform. On the other platforms, like if you are using iPhone, Android, and Apple, these are the steps that you can follow to avoid any tracking. Then this is about how to track. There are other ways also, more sophisticated one, but that needs more time and expertise. I can go on with them, but then it will be too much. And then there are some of the forensic tools, like if you want to check like what is the source of the email, where it has come, is it a legitimate email, from which system it was sent, is it a Windows system or a Linux system, or which country it has been sent, that email has come to you, is it a legitimate? So these are some of the forensic tools that you can use at your place. Suppose most of the time I get the request for email tracking, like I received that threat mail, can you track this mail? You can try your hands on these type of tools that are available. Email Tracker Pro, Email Tracer, these are the links where these are available. I hope I didn't actually, you are into this class, all of you, I think so.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. So with this, I would like to thank you all for such a patient listeners, and I'm open to any questions and queries you want to throw at me. And with that, thank you everybody. Questions if you have, I'll just of course. Please.
So they say that with quantum computers, all the encrypted data is in danger because it can decrypt all of your data in a quick time, and all the prevalent cryptographic algorithms which we use, like RSA, they are not safe. And recently, you must have heard about news that Microsoft came up with their new chip called as Majorana. So when all the hackers or the end customers get their hands on these chips, so all of your data, which is maybe hackers have already gotten hold of our data, which is encrypted, and we are thinking that it's safe because it is encrypted. But now they may, with such chips, it is not safe. So what are your thoughts about it? How we can secure?
Yeah, very valid question. As the technology is evolving, as told by quantum computers, because quantum computers completely work on a different logic. Currently, the way we compute was explained by Alan Turing as whatever could be computed and whatever could not be computed could be defined using Turing machines. They have a specific logic to work. In fact, for the quantum computers, there are altogether different logic. The gates, in fact, even the basic, the unit of computation, like the gates that are used in a computer. Quantum computers have even different gates, Hadamard gate, and all those things. And altogether, completely, different computational approach they do have. And of course, there are some, they are actually able to, take the advantage of that computational power, because it can try many options at one go, concurrent computing. Of course, but with these type of technologies, quantum computers are also being used for security solutions also. Quantum safe, cryptography and all those things are coming. So, when you go on a different platform, the defenders will also go on a different platform to secure their solutions. So, yeah, of course, these are the challenges, but we also should understand with these challenges, the new opportunities are there for researchers to work and explore. So, when there is these types of chips are released, or these types of computer that can break these RSA and these keys very quickly in a considerable amount of time. Earlier it was used to be thought to be a NP complete problem, which actually you can't in a time, polynomial time. So of course, these types of things, new technologies are also quantum safe computing.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So, how relevant is cyber arrest? My neighbor recently got duped of 60 lakh. He's an old chap, and cyber arrest, that was the call, email, and then it took them about.
Yeah, that's actually very very relevant question in today's scenario, because as I told, the chain is as strong as the weakest link, and normally if you see why these types of sex extortions, cyber arrest happens with the people who are beyond 50. If you see the statistics, most of the people are beyond 50, retired. Even if you get a call, if you say, they will ask sometimes, what is your age? If you tell that I am 20, they will not. It's not a probable target. So awareness is the only way by which we can create a community that is strong and cyber resilient. So awareness is one of the things that we should work with cyber situation.
My question is.
What's your name, sir? Okay.
My question is somewhat related to what ma'am just asked. Where do we stand institutionally? I mean, all of us get fake calls almost daily. Simply like this. And why do our governments have not been able to track these people? There are movies made of them.
India is a country of 100 crores.
You come more than gathering and there are different high-fi technical words thrown at you, quantum you just mentioned. Why we don't track, why as a nation our policing has not been able to track these people?
Very
On
relevant.
Netflix, there are movies made on them, people know, you said email tracking, why can't we track these people?
See, when it comes to the social engineering attacks that are based upon the social techniques, like they will talk to you, they will convince you. It depends upon person to person how a person will react. So I mean, government can put measures to check. If you see, for example, if you in fact, I was having a discussion with the DOT Department of Telecom. They have come up with a portal called Chakshu. So what you can do, you get a fraud call, you can register that mobile there. You can say that. But until or unless the end users, they are not aware and they are not aware about the security risks and aspects. All these things will be. It's a huge country. India is a huge country, and to have this kind of a system implemented on each and every person, it takes a lot. And better solution is, we always say that prevention is better than cure. If we all are, awareness, government is spending a lot of money nowadays at the school level also. People we are trying to create a community that is cyber aware. There's cyber sashaktikarana. So that is actually one thing that needs to be, we can actually
Do
tackle.
you think that police people are actually equipped?
Policing is a different aspect. Policing is something has happened, they will come into the picture. How efficient they are into tackling that is a different question. That is why I said that prevention is better than cure. If we don't let it happen at our end, it's also a solution to that problem.
You can daily call through Airtel or say whichever service provider you use. Why can't it be stopped at that?
See, now you are using, yes, that is question of fake calls and question of spam calls are different. Spams are, spams nobody
Whatever
can.
leads to fraud.
There are two different things. Like for example, in your emails, spear phishings are different thing. Spam mails, every day I get thousands of emails, selling any and everything. I can't. There's no solution for scams. Spear phishing. Similarly, or Airtel calling, to you to send something, sell something. Banks calling you to sell something. It's not. It's very difficult to control. But somebody is trying to dupe you, like this madam just told that cyber arrest. Those things should be taken care by registering. But because it's very difficult to tell that what is malicious and what is not at your end. Suppose a bank is calling to trying to sell you a credit card, and suppose in case you are interested, it's a useful call. Else it would have been a spam. It depends upon person. Yeah.
I want to ask one question to the entire audience. Who all have been under cyber attack or any such cyber crime you have been a victim? Just a raise of hand. Okay, 1, 2, who else? 3. Any, even 10 rupees is. So I got duped of 14,000. You got 20,000. You?
From 2000.
2,000.
40,000.
40,000. 0. You?
40,000.
40,000. So, Saurabh, that is the scenario. We all are under that cyber threat. And when I got in the cyber attack, so we were not very aware about QR codes back then. I'm talking about the COVID era. So during that COVID time, somebody duped me me of 14,000. So I had to rush to the cyber police station. So that is in sector 17. And they asked me, like the attitude they have, they asked me to write an application. You know,
Incident handling is very poor when it comes
it is
to
very poor. So I wrote a letter and then I gave it to them, and then he said, the formality is over now. But I assure you, I thought he's assuring. He said, I assure you, you will not get your money back. So no hopes, you will come back. And by the way, I get 7 to 8 such complaints every day. So I was just wondering whether he's collecting money and something about it.
See, I'll tell you something very interesting. You said that once you get used. Sir said that 40,000. I'll tell you the frequency of you getting, conned or cyber attacks is very frequent, more than frequent that you have observed. Because many things you don't even observe. Like for example, you go on a website, give your username, password and credentials. And that person uses it for a malafide state. And you don't know, just in my talk, I just show you a site called I have been conned. Go and see that how many times your password and was being, hacked and sold on the dark web. You will then realize that what I thought I was once duped or something, it's more often than I have thought. It's not just about the money, but it is about your privacy. It is about, the legitimacy of the system you are using. All these things are breached, and these breaches are very frequent. They are more frequent than you believe. No, sometimes we feel that we are very secure because we are not aware about what it is.
We can take more questions, so please raise your hand if you have any questions, because otherwise I am going to take a one-on-one session.
I just want to share something.
Sure.
So actually I was due around 53,000, but I was lucky I got my money back. Just want to share that. So my credit card was debited in US on US server somewhere, and I called my bank customer care and said like, I haven't made any transaction, and why this is coming to me. So they said like, you must have used your card. But no, I didn't, because I am in India and card was like debited in US. So they said like, I just asked, I haven't received any OTP because I am in India. I am the customer of Indian bank, right? So they said like, it is problem of visa because visa doesn't have that much thing, like that facility for US, right? I asked like, why you provided me visa card? And they initiated my request and visa refunded one of them. That was like,
Also, I have
I have another information. So what happened was back in 2016, I was in business development and I had a client who writes I did some A/B testing for them, and since then they have been using my Gmail account to Google Ads. I tried a lot, I changed my password, but I don't know how this still happened. They have kind of spent billions on my Google ad, and my digital marketing guy says that this is really good, your account is getting secure. But the kind of they are selling drugs and drugs, not the drugs, not the cocaine drugs, but they're selling drugs which is very, very sensitive. So
you can close that. There are ways you can actually shut it down.
but I need my Gmail account that's like going on since
But that account must be attributed to something, your phone number or something, because they always look for second identity. Like your secondary account or yours. It is like that, the way it works.
should I deactivate?
What is your second identity? It's better.
Should I do it with my
Why you have not done that option, right?
Any more questions?
So Shashank this side, I have a question like
Shashank, you are a student or what?
I am a junior software intern in Talent Engineer. So I have a question like, you ever heard a tool named Flipper Zero?
What it is?
I read about that, and this tool used for like spoofing or cloning the networks networks, and like you can clone someone keys networks, and then you can access their ATM card and like open their card doors. So I have a question about that tool. So it can be that much easy if we have a tool like.
See, until or unless I know, see, tools don't tell you about the technologies that I back on technology. Just the way I explained you know, how you can track a person, you can understand that how it will be bypassed. But until or just naming a tool, if I say that this technology called XYZ, yeah, but what it does is locking a car or something.
So basically, it captures the frequency when you are using that card, right? So that
Card,
device,
okay, card. That is
any card, debit card, credit or whatever. So that tool basically captures the codes which are getting transmitted, and then it stores that. Then it can write out any blank card. So you get blank card.
These
then
types
you
of
can just write that.
hardware, yeah, hardware-based hacking.
So it's a quite easy kind of a thing.
Not easy, but you need specifically curated hardware for that. I have came across many devices that people use at these what we call these. They do have this thing, these car tagging numbers.
Yes.
People actually get along without getting money detected from there or somebody other's thing. So those hardware actually is dependent this thing.
Yes, you can order it online, so it is available.
Yeah, those things are there, of course, but they need some dedicated, specific hardware for that, and there are techniques to, Yeah, please. What's your name, sir?
Sir, my name is Harsh.
Harsh.
Sir, my main question was, you have told that 80% of users of IoT devices are vulnerable to data breach, right? And nowadays, IoT devices are more famous in the India as well as foreign countries. So how can we secure our privacy in IoT devices? Like you have told that by default settings we have to turn off. And what kind of settings we can opt for so that our data is being secured or no data breach is been done?
See, when we talk about IoT devices, let me explain you what is the basic problem with the IoT devices. These IoT devices are devices that are created on a cheap hardware, so that to make it cost effective. And the hardware has a very low computational power. That is one of the reasons you can't install an antivirus or any kind of a security solution onto that. That is one of the reasons these IoT devices are considered as low-hanging fruit among the hacker community. They can easily go, they can easily hack because there is no security solution available on those things. So these types of things actually comes with different types of these are the challenges while you are using low-cost devices. And also the firmware that these IoT devices use, they are not a very robust firmware because companies don't invest much on coding this thing. Chinese people, they just copy the half of the code from there and just put it on the firmware is old firmware, they don't maintain it, all those things. That makes these IoT devices very, very vulnerable. So the question now, coming to the question, now you understand why these IoT devices are very, very vulnerable. One is, they are low computational devices, so that there is no direct security solution like antivirus you can install on that. Second is that not much effort is put on the security aspects because you have to quickly deliver it, and then you have to also you don't want to invest much because the cost has to be low. And the third is that most of us, when we use we are surrounded by so many IoT devices like this. I am using this phone. It is connected through this thing with a Bluetooth connection. So it's also an IoT device. So we are surrounded by so many IoT devices that it becomes difficult to manage them. Manage their usernames, passwords. How many times it happens with you that somebody have asked that what is the administrator password of your ADSL router, and you said that I don't remember. It is a very common thing. So as I told, there are multi levels of you have to approach this problem. Always go for a credible company. While you are buying an IoT device, the company should be well established. Cost should not always be a factor. Then you should always, one thing you can always do at your part is have a more customized password and username. Keep on changing it. And third is, if you are using ADSL router, you reset it. Make it sure that you reset it after some time. Let's say once in a week you reset it, so that if it is being accessed or if it is being compromised, somebody is using it, you can always reset it, and then when it will restart, because it don't have much memory, so attacker can't have much code ingested into that malware. Malware is most of the malwares that are they remain in the memory only, and when the system reboots, the malware goes away. So these are some of the things. Besides, one thing you can also always do. I just forgot what I was telling you. It skipped out of my mind. But these are the measures. In fact, there was an instance, very interesting one, when you were talking about this IoT attacks. There was a refrigerator that was actually sending a spam emails. We came across. So because nowadays these refrigerators are also being connected through internet, so it was sending a fake spam emails to somebody. So when we tracked it down, we thought that it's a refrigerator we sent. So IoT devices are so surrounded. We are so surrounded by these IoT devices. We don't know which one is when will actually get compromised and will be misused.
Let's do a use case if you are going at your.
One thing, one thing you can always see. There is also an opportunity also if you are looking for a company to open, in the area of security domain. That is, the threat feeds. Normally, because you have to understand. You can't install anything on IoT devices. Okay, so that means technically you can't secure it from inside. You can secure it from outside. And how? If you know all the attackers who are attacking the IoT devices, and you can block it at your firewall. Let's say you don't let this thing, it will be secure. So that information that I was talking about is called threat intel. Nowadays, a lot of companies, are coming with a threat intel that actually being integrated into the firewalls. That actually provides a passive, security mechanism for the solution. So, and there is a very, very less competition in this area of creating threat feeds, threat intel, and a threat intel for a yearly subscription you can sell it for crores. Just like Recorded Future was one company that is taken over by somebody, and they got millions of dollars. It's an Indian company. So for 1 year subscription for threat feed, they charge around 1.5 crore, and it's just a service. Not any hardware is involved, anything. Just a service. And that also not very intensive. Anyways, please go ahead.
Sorry, let's do a use case. Might be every people, 90% we have routers for internet at home. So please ask your providers username, password, and go check in the firewall settings and policies what you have done. Means what your providers have done for your policies, just check, go Google or whatever you want, just learn it and just configure it by yourself. Then this device is yours, you are paying for the providers, but the policies are created by the providers only. So just it should be created by yourself only. So this is the first use case you can create from so how you can protect yourself from the internet, just like Wi-Fi passwords or whatever the policies, the net policies, the firewall policies on that particular devices which you are installed at your home. So then we can ask for the questions then why these attacks has come and all. So let's do a use case.
Thank you.
Very good idea. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being great listeners and great audience. And thank you to Mr. Saurabh Chamotra for enlightening us with so many facts. And I like the hygiene part, which we really need to take care of. And I'm sure the guys and girls have taken a picture when he said you can track your boyfriends or girlfriends through your emails as well. If not, we can open the slide once again.
More effective way will be, you can use the Gmail, go in the phone settings and put your email into that your girlfriend or wife's or anybody's friend's phone, and wherever he'll go, your Gmail will tell you that where he's going. It's a very
amazing. So I'll take a printout of that. Thank you so much. And just to show how much you learned and how much you enjoyed this session, show us by the applaud how much you liked today's session. Amazing session, and we had to turn back so many audience who were so interested in attending the session. And honest confession, when Mr. Saurabh entered, I was looking for audience and he probably overheard me. Where are the people from IT? I want more audience. And that is when he walked in. So you can see that people are in need of cyber security.
All credit to you, madam.
All credit to you. Thank you so much. Now I would request our Vice President, Mr. Puneet, to please step on the stage to felicitate Mr. Saurabh. And Mr. Saurabh's team as well. Please join me.
Thanks to you, sir.